You know, people might not like Christianity, they might not like Christians, but they're usually okay and maybe even positive with Jesus himself. If you take Jesus to Islam, he is a great prophet. It's positive. They don't see him as the Son of God, but he's a prophet. It's positive. If you take Jesus to Asia, I mean, they already believe in what? 300 million gods? What's one more? You know? Only in Judaism is where Jesus has this extremely, extremely negative connotation. We already saw why, but there is more to it. I'm going to share with you a history lesson, a short history lesson. Okay, almost 2,000 years ago, back in 132 AD, a guy called Simon Bar Kokhba led the third Jewish revolt against the Roman Empire. When halfway through the revolt, Rabbi Akiva declared Simon Bar Kokhba, who by the way was a soldier famous of his barbaric cruelty, to be the Messiah. In the beginning of the revolt, the Jewish followers of Jesus agreed to help in what seemed at the beginning to be a campaign to fight for and protect the land of Israel and especially Jerusalem. However, after Rabbi Akiva's declaration that Bar Kokhba is the Messiah, the Jewish believers in Jesus had to withdraw from the revolt because obviously this dude is not the Messiah. We are not going to follow him. Rabbi Akiva and the Sanhedrin took it really, really bad, and they considered us to be traitors of Judaism from that point on, leading them to create rules against Jewish followers of Jesus, in order to basically kick us out of the synagogues, kick us out of Judaism. These laws forbidden other Jews to even associate with followers of Jesus. Until today, 3 times a day in every synagogue, they repeat the Birkat Haminim, which is benediction concerning the heretics. Guess who are the heretics? A prayer that is basically cursing Jesus and his followers. And we, as followers of Jesus, we cannot pray that prayer. Therefore, we cannot be in the synagogue. Therefore, we cannot be inside the heart of Judaism. Later on in the Talmud is the Jewish Holy Scriptures, the rabbis added awful, false stories about who Jesus was. One example, it says that his mother, Mary, committed adultery with a Roman soldier, and that's how Jesus came about. Another story says that Jesus was an idol worshiper who got his powers from Satan. Sounds familiar? Another story is of a guy named Onkelos, who was a Tana. A Tana is a great rabbinic sage. And in his case, he was an expert in mediumship. Mediumship is the ability to communicate with the dead. Or maybe I should be pointing down. According to that story in the Talmud, they asked Onkelos to communicate with Jesus from the dead, and so he did. And he asked Jesus, again, that's according to the story in the Talmud, not my opinion. He asked Jesus, "Where are you and what is going on with you?" And Jesus replied, "I am in hell, and my punishment is to be boiled in feces forever and ever, because I was a false Messiah and a false prophet." There are more awful stories about Jesus in the Talmud and about us, the Jewish believers, but I think you've got the idea. In Judaism, Jesus is considered to be the worst enemy of all times. Jewish people look at Jesus as the blame for anti-Semitism in the world. Now remember, in Jewish history, any kind of a spiritual message that somebody wanted to bring in must be first approved by the gatekeepers, who are the Orthodox rabbis, who used to be the Pharisees. We see that in the New Testament. And they rejected Jesus and his message. And Jesus himself accused them in Matthew chapter 23, verse 13. Scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. And for 2,000 years now, Jesus is kept out of Judaism. And for these three reasons, you now understand why Jesus is the best kept secret in Judaism. By the way, I realize that what I've just shared with you about Jesus in the Talmud can cause your heart to react in bitterness and hatred even, enmity and resentment against Jewish people, which can lead and will lead to anti-Semitism. But please choose compassion and grace like the heart of Jesus when he was on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Amen.